Most people believe that when you finally walk away from a narcissist, the story ends there. But that's not true. That's actually where the real story begins. Because once a narcissist realizes they no longer have power over you, they don't just fade quietly into the background, they come apart. Their mask starts to slip, and what comes out next is both unsettling and revealing. In this talk, we're going to look at the four clear signs that prove you've truly defeated a narcissist, not just escaped them, but broken down the very illusion they live behind. By the time you reach the end, you'll understand not only what those signs are, but why they appear and what they expose about the fragile mind hiding behind the narcissist's mask. When you finally decide to stand up to someone who's been manipulating you, when you stop playing along with their game, something remarkable happens. That charm they use, that fake friendliness and smooth confidence begins to fade. And what replaces it isn't peace or respect, it's anger, a quiet, burning anger. It's the rage of someone who has lost control but refuses to show it. And that silent fury is one of the clearest signs that you've actually defeated them for real. See, many people misunderstand a narcissist's charm. They assume it's true confidence, that it's charisma or strength. But it's none of those things. It's an act, a carefully built performance meant to draw you in, to make you admire them, depend on them, and eventually to make you feel small without even realizing it. Their charm is not about connecting with you, it's about controlling you. And the moment you stop reacting to it, the instant you're no longer hypnotized by their flattery or intimidated by their presence, their whole inner world begins to crack. Now, this doesn't mean they'll suddenly start screaming or throwing things. The dangerous kind of rage isn't always loud. Sometimes it hides behind calm eyes. You'll see it when they talk to you. That tight smile that doesn't reach their eyes, that little twitch at the corner of their mouth, that flat tone when they realize you're no longer following the script. It's like you've switched on a light in a room they've kept dark for years, and now they're exposed. They can't charm you anymore. They can't guilt trip you. They can't make you doubt yourself. And to them, that's unbearable. Let me tell you something important. That silent rage isn't really about you. It's about what you represent. You've become the one thing they cannot control, and that breaks the illusion they've built to protect themselves from the truth. Narcissists live in a fragile, self-made world, a kind of hall of mirrors where everything reflects back the image they want to see. Power, admiration, superiority. But when you step out of that reflection and say, "No, I see who you truly are," it's like shattering one of those mirrors. The entire illusion starts to shake. That's when they begin to change. The voice that used to sound confident turns tight and sharp. The person who used to laugh at your jokes now stares at you like you've offended them. Their silence becomes heavier, colder. You can almost feel it, a kind of invisible wall forming between you. They won't admit they're angry because that would mean admitting they've lost control, but their energy gives them away. That's the silent rage, the emotional version of a storm trapped behind glass. I once heard a story from a young woman who had been in a long relationship with a deeply narcissistic partner. She told me that when she finally stood up for herself, refused to argue, and walked away in the middle of a conversation, he didn't yell, he didn't chase her. He just stared. His eyes were hollow, his face frozen, and then he went completely silent. She said, "It was the quietest moment of my life, but the loudest thing I'd ever felt." That's the moment the narcissist realizes it's over. Not because you shouted louder, not because you played their game better, but because you stopped playing altogether. And here's the fascinating part. That silence isn't just anger, it's shame. Beneath that fury lies a deep, unbearable sense of inadequacy. You've shown them a reflection they can't handle, one that says, "You're not in control. You're not as powerful as you think." And for someone whose entire identity depends on control and admiration, that realization feels like death. But this is where your real strength begins. When you can see that shift, when you recognize the moment their charm turns to quiet hostility, and you don't take it personally, you've broken free. You're no longer trapped in their manipulation. You've reclaimed your peace, your dignity, your independence. And make no mistake, that's exactly what they fear most. So when you notice that silent rage, when their eyes turn cold, their charm disappears, and the air between you feels heavy, don't panic. Don't doubt yourself. See it for what it truly is: confirmation, proof that you've broken their control. You've stepped outside their illusion. You've stopped feeding the false image that depended on your confusion. And that's not an easy thing to do. It takes real courage to stop seeking approval from someone who's built their entire existence on withholding it. It takes inner strength to stay calm when their silence tries to make you feel guilty. But if you can hold that line, if you can stay centered in the presence of their quiet anger, then you've already won. Not by defeating them in a fight, but by refusing to be part of it at all. That's the true victory. The narcissist's charm turns into silence and cold rage because for the first time, they've met someone who can't be fooled. And if that's you, if you've reached that point, then you've done something remarkable, something most people never manage to do. You've taken back your sense of self from someone who tried to rewrite it. And that's the moment you stop merely surviving them and start rising above them. It's a strange thing, really. When you start to rise above a narcissist, when you stop reacting to their games and begin living with real confidence, they don't just vanish, they change shape, and not in the way that shows they've grown or learned. No, they start copying you. They begin to mirror your strength, your confidence, your independence, but only on the surface because they can't create it within themselves. They can only imitate it. You have to understand what's happening here. Narcissists aren't builders of identity. They're borrowers. They don't create themselves. They construct a version of themselves from the people around them. They take admiration, attention, energy, validation, and weave it into a patchwork personality made of reflections. So when you defeat them, when you stop feeding that cycle, they panic. And instead of facing their emptiness, they decide to wear your image. They start copying your tone, your habits, your mindset, as if pretending to be you will somehow give them your power. It's strange to witness. The same person who once mocked your ambitions now speaks like they've found purpose. The one who used to laugh at your goals suddenly starts posting motivational quotes, echoing your words, your style, your energy. It's not admiration, it's replication. They're trying to regain control by becoming the very thing that shattered their illusion. Why do they do that? Because imitation for them is survival. They have no sense of who they truly are without someone else to copy. Their identity is parasitic. It feeds on others. When you pull away, when you grow stronger, when you build boundaries, you reveal that emptiness. You expose the hollow space inside them, and like all hollow things, they echo. But don't confuse imitation with growth. It isn't growth, it's disguise. It's camouflage meant to hide their defeat, like a wolf putting on the shepherd's coat and pretending to protect the sheep. The appearance may look new, but the intention stays the same. And if you're not careful, that imitation can pull you back in. You might think, maybe they've changed. Maybe they finally understand. But what's really happening is more manipulative than before. They're studying you. They're learning how your strength works so they can twist it to their advantage. I've seen this pattern again and again in therapy sessions, classrooms, families, workplaces. When one person starts to grow, those who depended on their weakness begin copying that growth, not to share it, but to compete with it. A young man starts taking control of his life, and suddenly his insecure friends mimic his behavior, not because they want to change, but because they feel threatened. It's the same with narcissists. They don't want to grow with you, they want to look like they're stronger than you. And that tells you something powerful. Imitation is their final defense. It's the last trick to protect their illusion of superiority, but remember, they can't sustain it because real strength never comes from imitation. T means you've stopped playing the role they gave you. You've outgrown the script they wrote for you. It means you finally chose truth over comfort, reality over illusion. They can't accept that because your growth exposes their stagnation. When you heal, it reminds them they haven't. When you move on, it reminds them they're still trapped in the same circle of blame and denial. So they twist the story, hoping to pull you back into it. They might tell others that you turned cold, that you abandoned them, that you forgot all the good moments. They will try to make you look like the monster so they can keep pretending to be the victim. But deep down, they know the truth. Every story they invent is an attempt to cover the shame they cannot face. When you stop responding, when you stop defending yourself, that silence burns them more than any argument ever could. Because silence means you've seen through them. It means they no longer control your attention. And for a narcissist, losing your attention feels like death. They survive through validation, through being seen, through controlling how others view them. Without that, their entire world begins to collapse. You'll notice it when they start searching for new people to believe their story, new audiences to replace the one they lost in you. They'll recycle the same words, the same emotions, the same drama because that's all they know how to do. They can't build something real. They can only replay old scenes hoping someone else will believe them. But here's the truth. You don't need to expose them. Life will do that on its own. Every lie has an expiration date. Every false mask eventually falls apart under the weight of time. You just have to keep walking in truth because your peace is their undoing. Your stability is their mirror. The more you stay grounded, the more their chaos reveals itself. It's not revenge, it's reflection. They are forced to face what they've always avoided themselves. And even when they try to come back, acting humble or pretending to change, you'll feel something different this time. You'll see through the performance. You'll notice how their words don't match their actions, how their eyes still carry that hunger for control. You'll feel a strange calm instead of anger, a quiet knowing instead of confusion. That's not coldness, that's wisdom. You've learned what manipulation looks like dressed as love. You've learned that closure doesn't come from them admitting the truth. It comes from you accepting reality. When the narcissist realizes they can't reach you anymore, when your emotions no longer dance to their tune, they enter a state of panic. They might lash out, spreading rumors or trying to bait you into reacting. Don't fall for it. The moment you react, they feel alive again because conflict is their oxygen, but your calmness suffocates the performance. The more you detach, the weaker the illusion becomes. Soon, the very energy they once stole from you becomes the light that exposes them to others. You won't have to say a word. Your peace will speak for itself. You see, narcissists spend their lives chasing reflections instead of reality. They build a hall of mirrors and mistake it for the world. But mirrors can only reflect what stands before them. When you walk away, the reflection disappears, and all they're left with is emptiness. That's why they come back. Not for love, but for supply. They need you to keep the illusion alive. Once you understand that, you stop feeling sorry for them. Compassion doesn't mean returning to the fire that burned you. It means wishing them healing while you continue your own. In time, you'll realize that their downfall isn't your responsibility, and their pain isn't your burden. You can forgive them without returning to them. You can let them go without wishing them harm. Because forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation. It means freedom. Freedom from their control, from their lies, from the version of yourself you had to be just to survive around them. And that freedom is sacred. It's the kind of peace that no apology could ever give you. So when they rewrite the story again, when they call you selfish or heartless, let them. Let them play their part in their own illusion. You don't owe anyone your side of the story. People who see truth will see it without you explaining. People who want lies will believe them no matter what you say. The only thing that matters is that you know who you are now, and that knowledge can't be taken from you. You've faced the truth they ran from. You've rebuilt yourself from the pieces they tried to break. You've learned that your worth doesn't depend on how anyone else sees you. That's the final victory. Not proving them wrong, but proving to yourself that you never needed their approval in the first place. The story they tell about you isn't yours to defend. The life you're living now, free and real, is proof enough. So keep walking forward, keep growing, and let the mask they built crumble behind you. Because while they're still trapped in their performance, you've stepped into reality. And there's nothing more powerful than that.